Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about who, whom, and whose. Basically, what we're going to be doing in this video is to talk a little bit about the differences and sort of like come up with a couple of examples so that you can know how to use each one of these phrases in different contexts. Just before we dive right into that, guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell so that YouTube will let you know whenever my next video goes up. Alright, we're gonna get started by talking about the word who. Who is pretty much like a subject pronoun, like I, he, she, and so on and so forth. We use who to ask which person does an action or which person is a certain way. And also when talking about somebody's name or title, I'm talking about stuff like social status and positions. I'm gonna give you an example so that you can know what I'm talking about exactly. Talking about an action or an activity somebody has to do, an example of that would be something like, hey, who's gonna do the dishes? I also mentioned that we use who when talking about the way somebody is. I'm talking about stuff like somebody's appearance. I'm gonna give you an example. The new teacher who has long hair is from the United States. Like, I'm talking about their appearance. I also mentioned that we use who when talking about somebody's name or somebody's social status. For example, who is she? She's married. Like, I'm talking about her name. Now, when talking about stuff like social positions, I would say something like, hey, the woman who has been appointed as the CEO of the company is from the United States. The who is sort of like indicating the woman's position, which is that she is the CEO. Now, let's talk about whom, which is sort of like the concept of who. Whom is also sort of like a pronoun, but it's some sort of like an object pronoun, like him, her, us, and so on and so forth. Basically, we use whom when talking about which person will receive the action of the verb. I'm gonna give an example. Actually, I'm gonna try to come up with some sort of like a contrast between who and whom. Remember, who is pretty much indicating the person who does the action. For example, hey mom, who took my money in the drawer? Like, I wanna know the person who took the money, who did the action. Whom talks about the person who receives the action. I'm gonna give an example. Whom will I blame for the accident? Whom is not talking about the person who does the action. Whom is sort of like the person who receives the action. Like, I'm the one who does the action, which is to blame somebody. Like, I blame and somebody gets the blame. So they receive the action of being blamed. If you still feel a little bit confused about the differences, you're gonna be good to go as long as you remember that who is a subject pronoun, like I, he, she, and whom is an object pronoun. For example, him, us, etc. I is like I do the action, and him is an object pronoun, like it receives an action perpetrated by the subject. Okay, we gotta wrap it up by talking about whose. Whose is pretty much like a pronoun as well, but it belongs to a different category of pronouns. It's pretty much like a possessive pronoun to indicate ownership. For example, his, her, our. We use who to sort of like find out which person something belongs to. I'm talking about ownership, just like I mentioned earlier. For example, whose computer is this? Like, I want to know the owner of the computer. I'm gonna give you another example. The student whose computer has been stolen is my sister. Like, the whose is talking about the owner of the computer, which is my sister. I'm gonna give you some sort of a side note here before we wrap it up. Sometimes you may hear people saying something like, hey, who's gonna do the dishes? Like, who's gonna do the dishes? The sound whose is not the possessive pronoun whose. It's actually a contraction for who is. Okay guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you tomorrow.